Hey everyone, welcome to the program WRSA Radio. I am your host, Grenadier One. As always, I hope you are having a good week. It's been a slow one for me, and maybe for most of us, I guess. There's been some bad weather out there, and we're learning of wildfires in Hawaii and Maui, which have been very significant and have killed something like 36 people, unfortunately, and that toll may rise throughout the day, so it may be more by the time I post this video, but anyway, stay safe out there if you have bad weather or these fires in your area. You may hear the neighbor mowing his lawn in the background, so I apologize for that if you pick that up on the audio, but nothing I can do about it. So now on to the main show this week, but in a way it has a connection to the weather and maybe even those fires. So, how we're going out on a speculation limb a little bit today because it's been kind of a slow news week too, and I've not had anything really specifically newsworthy to go over. So I'm reaching in the basket to kind of pull some threads together. And from the title of the show, you may know we're talking about reports this week coming out of Peru about a remote village that is being terrorized by what they are calling aliens. This is interesting on numerous levels, so we're going to break this down. Now, normally, I would not be covering this kind of report. These kind of reports happen more often than you probably know, unless you're somebody who follows the UFO research or UFO community. But frankly, I don't put a ton of stock into reports that come out of South America, and it's not anything particularly negative about them or anything like that. It's just there's a few reasons for that. One is that the culture and traditions there are very heavily influenced by folklore and traditional stories. They have a lot of what you might call like cryptid type stories, sort of strange creatures, that kind of thing, in their folklore. And I attribute the bulk of those kind of reports, paranormal, cryptid type events, to just kind of being that overactive imagination that people have in general, or at least believing that something which might be odd is more than it actually is because of that folklore history. And you see this in other places as well. I'm not putting this all on South America, but that's an area that I just generally, you get a lot of reports that come out of there, and most of them end up being, sort of vague and not really anything there. And, but I don't completely discount the reports either. Generally, I will see them, and if it's just, somebody's witnessing something and there's really no further evidence, then that's just what I chalk it up to be, likely this mundane thing, and just kind of move on. It's, hey, this guy thought he saw something because it was like stories that he was told as a kid, that kind of thing. But things can get interesting when more and more similar stories start cropping up from an area, and maybe they start presenting a pattern or something like that. So, which is kind of what occurred back in the 90s with the Chupacabra stories. Those kind of came out of Colombia, South America, Peru, that area, Bolivia, and they kind of moved up into Mexico and some of these other same kind of things being talked about. And they started off looking like this kind of local folklore, hey, we saw something on a dark night kind of thing. And then suddenly you started to get more and more reports, and eventually there were reports from government and military people who had seen and even chased these things. And that kind of elevates it to something that I'm more interested in, and I put more credibility in, because people saw something, and something was eating their chickens and goats. Okay, it wasn't just a story. So it was don't know what it was, but it was something very interesting and kind of piqued my attention. This event over the last week or so, as it happens, is quickly moving into that same kind of level of interest. people in an area are seeing something, and there are people who have been attacked and hurt by these things that they are seeing. So that kind of elevates it. That's not necessarily just an overactive imagination. At least that's what the reports say. How does this have anything to do with the weather and fires? Well, I will get to that at the end, and I'll bring it back around. So, just stick with me here for a few minutes. This all kind of began with video that has shown up on social media and news reports coming out of Peru of a fairly remote village that is being terrorized by 7-foot-tall humanoid beings who look like the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man universe. If you've seen the Spider-Man movies, you remember the Green Goblin. That's what they're saying that these things look like. I'm not going to play the video. The video is kind of blurry, and it's just sort of a cell phone video. It doesn't really show much, but we'll get into that. But anyway, they're meaning that these creatures are armored in some kind of translucent green material. Is what's being reported, and it's apparently bulletproof. These entities are also reported to fly. One witness reported that he saw one of these things descend from the air, floating down and trying to grab a young female, and he apparently shot at this being and scared it away. There was another report of a teenage girl who was physically attacked and had bruises and lacerations. Another man reported that he shot at one of these creatures and it fell down, but it stood back up and flew away. And like I said, there's videos circulating on TikTok and other platforms that shows people with flashlights, and they're shining their lights up on the top of this roof of this house, and there is something walking around on the roof of this house, and they're yelling at it, trying to get this thing to move or come down or go away or something. But like I said, it's very blurry. It's kind of difficult to see, so who knows what it really, what's really there. It could be a lot of things, but the people at least believe that it was one of these creatures. The story takes kind of a strange turn, though, because they're calling these creatures the face terrors or something like that, face rippers, something like that, because there were reports from this area that the creatures had attacked a man and cut off his face. Now, here's where we have to kind of issue some words of caution, because, and this kind of gets into some of the things that I have talked about, collecting information and doing information analysis and intel analysis, those kind of things. There's a video that is being associated with this story and attached to this story going around that is not related, at least not originally. It was posted some time ago. It wasn't, at the time it was posted, there was nothing about aliens or anything like that being, attached to it. This was some other incident that had occurred. The video shows police with a body laying beside a river, and they uncover this body. It's wrapped in banana leaves, I guess, or some kind of cloth. The locals who found this body have covered it up, and the police are unwrapping it. And the man, it's a male body, and can very graphically be seen that he is missing not just his face, but a large portion of the skin on his head completely. It's completely gone down to the bone. He's missing his eyes and really everything kind of above the mouth. And not only that, it's bloodless, and it can be seen that it's very cleanly cut at the edges of the wounds. It's really rather gruesome, so if you don't care to see that sort of thing, be aware of it if you come across it, when you're looking into this story. You may see that video, and you may see some stills from it. I've seen some articles showing some stills from it. There are other YouTubers who have shown this video, but I'm not going to play that here because I don't want restrictions on the channel. But I just wanted to throw that out there so people would know and be aware of what might be you know, put together with this. If you're familiar with what is called the cattle mutilation phenomenon, then the wounds that this man has sound very familiar. That is the kind of thing that is reported with these dead cows and horses that ranchers find out in their fields, and it is, believed to be linked to the UFO mystery in some way. There's a lot of theories about it, but here you kind of got to use some logic. Okay, this is not a field in the Midwest where the farmer just finds a dead cow. This is South America, and it's next to a river. So what does that likely mean? And the answer to that is piranha. Okay, piranha will strip every ounce of meat off a bone if they can get it into the water, and they leave these very precise, cuts due to the sharpness of their teeth. And indeed, that is what this video is showing. Apparently, the man met some kind of accident or may have possibly been killed in a criminal act. I don't know. I didn't look that deeply into that part of it. I just saw that, no, that's not related. That's something that's being attached to this. But he somehow found himself face down in the river, and the piranhas got to the body before someone found him, and did their business, did their piranha thing. But that has not stopped people from linking that video to this recent, alien event. So even though apparently the video was posted some time back, it's not related. Doesn't have anything to do with this alien attack. Doesn't mean that there may not have been somebody else who had their face torn off. Okay, that might be just a completely separate thing, and people put two and two together and thought that they, and got four, but it is what it is. So I just want people to be aware of that. I wanted to throw that part out there for you in case you saw those pictures. I don't believe they're connected at all. Back to the aliens in the village. This has understandably caused an uproar with this community, as the people are afraid to be out at night by themselves. They are reporting that they cannot sleep out of fear of being abducted or attacked. They've been calling for, the military or the police to come to the area, and they've even gone so far as to organizing their own patrols. They want the military to come out and patrol the area at night, in the villages to keep watch. The problem facing the Peruvian government is this area is kind of far out in the jungle. It's like 630 miles from Lima, Peru, and it's about 10 hours boat trip up the river from the closest city. So it's pretty remote, which makes you kind of wonder what's really going on here. Why is this remote village in the middle of the jungle seeing these things? Is it just that, that traditional folklore or superstition playing on the imaginations of these people? Do we have a situation where we have a series of events that were really disconnected, but they happen in close proximity to one another, and that creates this, kind of atmosphere and connects the events into this story? I don't think that's what's going on here. I think they really are seeing something. Now, Peru has a space industry, if you did not know that, and in fact they have some research facilities and aerospace testing areas kind of along the coast, and of course they have the very famous Nazca lines, which are speculated to be some kind of potentially ancient alien kind of message, or the ancient people who lived there saw something and they wanted to signal to ancient visitors, something like that. There have been many UFO sightings over the years and reports of encounters with creatures from somewhere else, in Peru. So they do have what you could call some cultural priming for extraterrestrials or UFOs. This is not something entirely unknown or new to them. In other words, it's not odd that they would be reporting these things. It is odd that it's happening out in the middle of nowhere. Today, however, we get a new report that has come out. It's being issued from a government source in Peru. This is a prosecutor's office. I'm not sure if this is a local or regional prosecutor, perhaps some kind of federal prosecutor, because it didn't really say in the articles that I read. I don't know how their legal system works, but anyway, it's a report from a judicial source that says that the mystery has been solved. Apparently, Scooby-Doo and the gang have uncovered that these so-called aliens are in fact illegal immigrants who were smuggled into the country to work on local illegal mining projects. And they were dressed up as aliens and get this, using sophisticated gear like jetpacks to fly around and scare the local villagers. No word on why they would be doing that. I guess Scoob and Shaggy ran out of snacks before they uncovered that part of the mystery, but I don't know what sounds more crazy, that aliens are attacking remote villagers or that illegal immigrants brought in to work on illegal gold mining operations were somehow trained to fly jetpacks and decided to go around scaring villagers and attacking teenagers. I honestly believe the alien story more than that. Now, really, of course, what I believe is that there is... this is more evidence of psychological operations being played on us by the government, by the deep state. This is more of the same op that was put out in congressional testimony last week. We can speculate what these aliens are. Perhaps they are indeed men in costumes with jetpacks. But let me ask you this. Who is more likely to have jetpacks? Okay, is it illegal criminal organizations or maybe U.S. Special Operations or intel agents, something like that? Is there something going on down there in the middle of that jungle that U.S. Special Ops might be involved in? I've seen some reports that U.S. troops have recently been in Peru, but I don't know if that's valid or not. It's possible that this is being done on purpose to create the illusion of alien reports. Or it's possible that these people simply, inadvertently were witness to some other kind of special operation that was going on in the area. Maybe it was some kind of counter-drug thing that was taking place. But either way, it's being capitalized upon by the media and the deep state to report this and further this alien op that is currently being worked. Now, okay, what does that have to do with the weather and fires? Well, I've speculated in the past on this program, and many others have speculated, that the deep state possesses the ability to manipulate the weather and that they possess directed energy weapons. Those weapons can be utilized to create conditions that would start wildfires, or they could be used to start the fires directly themselves, in the case of energy weapons. I have speculated that at least some of this alien op is being undertaken to kind of create the informational war cover to use those weapons and others like them that maybe we don't know about on international targets and be able to maintain just complete deniability. Your forest fires are natural. That just happens. Your ship just caught fire in port all by itself. Your grain silo just exploded for no reason. Perhaps maybe they need some kind of stealth drone that's flying in the area to utilize these weapons, and so, or some of these weapons, and so putting out the story of UFOs allows them to say, no, that wasn't us. That was totally the aliens. We don't know what that was. Creating fires and crazy weather in their own countries also pushes the climate change agenda and creates this environment of fear and uncertainty in the population. And there's a lot of evidence to support these ideas. It's not crazy. $26 trillion went missing from DoD and HUD back in the late 90s, 99, 2000, that time frame. Where did all that money go? Well, myself and many others speculate that it went into black projects, secret space program. I'm convinced that is the reality of the situation, and I'm convinced that we are being primed and conditioned for a revelation of this technology to some extent. And while that, that should be a great thing and something that would promise to bring humanity into, a new future of space travel and kind of wonderful unknowns, I don't think anyone believes that's what's going to happen. We all know where this is going. It's going to be used to enslave us, but I hope that I am wrong. I don't think that I am, and I think that what we are seeing is more and more of this conditioning that is being played upon us to prime us for a more public display of this situation. But anyway, that is all the time that I have for this week. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab and the Mothership, and I will see you on the next episode.